Hi everybody, and thanks for watching. This summer we're reading The Book Thief by Markus Zusak in our summer reading program, and it's a big book, so get ready for homework. It's going to be huge. Now, I can already guess the big question that everybody's going to ask me, and the question is, how did Hitler rise to power in Germany? Well, that's an important question because the story, the book Thief, takes place between 1939 and 1943 in Hitler's Germany. So if you want to ask the question, how did Hitler come to power in Germany, you have to go back to the end of World War I in 1919 and try to figure out what the conditions were that allowed a guy like Hitler to rise to power. At the end of the war, the German Kaiser, the Emperor, Kaiser Wilhelm II, was forced to abdicate and step down. The new government that came in to replace him was immensely unpopular because of its agreement to the Treaty of Versailles. Now, funny, because that government wasn't even in control during the war. It came to power after the war. However, it remained super or uber unpopular. Why? Because due to the treaty, Germany was forced to assume complete responsibility for the outbreak of the war. And it was forced to pay huge war indemnities to the winners of the war, notably France and Great Britain. Also, Germany had to give up territory to France and some territory to Poland. So as you can see, at the end of the war, no good things are happening in Germany. Now, add this to the fact that Germany was going through an economic chaos at the end of the war. In 1919, the German mark was valued 8.9 to 1 USD, but by 1923, it had devalued to the tune of 4 billion to 1 USD. That's huge. We've all heard of stories of German people pushing wheelbarrows full of money to the bakery just to get a loaf of bread. That's how bad things were. But although things were bad in 1923, there was a ray of hope. The leader of Germany at this time, Chancellor Stresemann, was making inroads to knock down those reparations to a more manageable monetary arrangement. And a new currency had been introduced. So actually, things are starting to look up. Now, let's get back to Hitler. In 1919, Hitler was just one of many soldiers returning from the war. And he was disaffected like so many of them were. Now, at this time, and let's go back to 1919, there was some political unrest that was happening internally in Germany. And here's an example of that unrest. The communist left attempted a revolt. And it was put down by elements of the right, the conservative, nationalistic, Free Corps, these soldiers who had fought in the war. And they put down the left. They put down the commies, the communists. But in the German mind, communism was a great fear, right? And maybe that fear pushed regular Germans to accept these right-wing groups, one of which Hitler joined. In 1919, he joins the Socialist German Workers' Party, we know as the Nazi Party, and he quickly assumes leadership because he's so popular, he's so dynamic. Think of it like this. You're a kid at school, like this kid, Joe, and there's a new student in your class. And this new student is weird. He's so weird. He's a vegetarian. He washes his hands all the time. He never shakes hands with anybody. And he's enormously popular because he's so passionate and he's so charismatic and he's such a great speaker. Soon, he takes over the class. He's made the class leader. He's made the class president. He's so popular, in fact, he's such a great leader that your class takes over the whole school. And under his leadership, your school takes over the whole city. And then your city takes over the country, and your country attempts to take over the world. But, guys, Hitler, he makes a mistake. In 1923, he tries his own coup. He tries his own seizure of power, and he fails. In fact, he's sent to prison, but in prison, he writes his famous book, Mein Kampf. And that details his hatred of the Jews, his scapegoating of the Jews. He blames everybody for the loss of World War I. And people, because of the horrible situation in Germany, read his book and they say, man, this really describes what we're going through. This is the guy we need. In fact, you could argue that there's some similarities between that and the 2016 election in America. Well, I'm all out of time for now. I hope this helps you understand a little bit about how Hitler came to power. We'll talk more about it in class, but this is just to help you understand more. Thank you for listening. Say bye-bye, Joe.